This is the iPhone 17 Pro, and it definitely enhances aspects of my life. I use it to work out, capture ideas, shoot video, amongst other things, but it's also the most likely thing to derail my entire day, and after 3 months with it, I have some thoughts. I bought the 17 Pro on launch, and there was a lot that I was excited for with it, first and foremost being the design. While the older Pro models do give off a bit more minimal premium finish with a polished titanium frame, I like that Apple finally went with a bolder look this year with a much brighter color option in Cosmic Orange. I honestly didn't know if I would get sick of this orange color. It's definitely not for everyone, but at least right now, I still really like it. The satin finish over the aluminum frame looks great, the camera plateau looks good, and the only thing that to me is a little weird is the glass back, where in the right light, the orange color doesn't really match, but once you throw on a case, it looks fantastic. I don't have any damage or scratches on it at all, even on the display, which I've never used a screen protector on. I'll often have my phone rolling around in my pocket with keys or change, and it still looks good as new, so it does seem like the Ceramic Shield 2 glass is a lot more durable than in past years, but I would say that this year the screen isn't really much different from the regular iPhone. The iPhone 17 finally got the exact same ProMotion display, and that combined with how good the phone is, I think blurs the line between who should get the regular iPhone and who should get the Pro model. So let's just talk about who the 17 Pro is actually for. To me, there are three main areas that we can look at on the Pro that can make a difference for people: performance, the camera system, and battery life. Battery life often plays a huge factor when it comes to what people need to get out of a phone. Apple says the 17 Pro can last up to 3 hours longer than the standard models. And while I'll get into what that means in actual use shortly, that alone can shift a lot of people to the Pro. That being said, the group the 17 Pro targets the most is creatives. If you're a photographer, videographer, or a creator like myself, this is where Apple starts adding the good stuff. The dedicated telephoto lens, more advanced shooting formats like ProRAW, Apple Log, and even OpenGate in ProRes RAW, which you won't find on any other phone. All of that is enabled by the A19 Pro chip and the 12 gigs of RAM, and a chipset that can drive that much data means the 17 Pro isn't just built for creative workloads, but really, it can handle almost anything. High-end gaming, heavy multitasking, aggressive background apps, stuff that would choke or get dumped out of memory on other phones runs without friction here. And although most people will never likely come close to pushing this phone to its limits, the headroom is definitely there. That means you have to make very little compromises regardless of workflow, which can be both a blessing and a curse. For me personally, I use my phone for a ton of different things, and as long as I'm calculated about how I use the 17 Pro, it's an incredibly powerful tool. I often start out my day by putting in my AirPods and throwing on an audiobook while I make coffee, so then I can stay quiet in the mornings while getting into my routine. Learning and reading is such an important part of my life, and this allows me to get a quick fix of that before I start working. Pairing up my AirPods Pro 3s have been smoother than in years past, and the range has been fantastic. Far better than any Mac that I've used, but from there I'll often go into setting up my day on my phone. That might be planning out parts of my week or a video in Notion, checking and answering emails, basically things I want to resolve before I dial into whatever tasks I want to accomplish. Most of these apps have switched to the new Liquid Glass UI, which for the most part I've had no issues with. There will be the occasional styling bug, but the only real problem I've had is with a keyboard. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but in any apps where I'm typing a lot, even when I'm pretty certain that I'm entering the right characters, iOS feels like it's inserting the wrong ones, or occasionally it just auto-corrects a word that's supposed to be there into something that doesn't make any sense at all. I've tried other third-party keyboards, which I haven't had much luck with either, and maybe it's just user error, but it's really the only downside that sticks out to me. I suppose I could complain about the lack of context-aware Apple intelligence, but to be honest, I'm finding more and more that I like certain AI tools for specific tasks, and those usually sit outside of what I use my phone for. I've been trying to focus on how to get the 17 Pro to work for me, and a big part of that has been with my health. There are essentially two apps that I center my health around: Ladder and Waking Up. Ladder is a great little workout app that connects to Apple Health, tracks all my workout info including my heart rate through my AirPods, captures my nutrition information, and pushes all the data to the health and fitness apps on iOS. And it just makes it much easier for me to stay physically healthy with everything in a single hub like this, which I find insanely useful. Waking Up I use for my mental health when I'm feeling overwhelmed or when my mind is cluttered or racing with too many thoughts. And while all of those things are great additions to my routine and can help me get things done, you can do them on any iPhone. It's when you start pushing the phone harder, tackling more demanding tasks, that the 17 Pro really starts to stand out. Going into 2026, one of the things that I wanted to do more of is use my iPhone for short-form content. I often find that I just don't like using my actual camera for vertical content, just because the ergonomics are strange to me and it sort of feels like pushing a square peg through a round hole. The 17 Pro feels a lot better in that sense, but there were still a few things that I needed to address to make it work for me. One was the storage. I take a lot of photos and videos of everyday stuff that aren't meant to be content, and those already take up quite a bit of the 256 gig SSD that's in here. If I start recording ProRes or Apolog video, that takes up an enormous amount of space and can fill up a drive like this in a matter of hours. So an external SSD is the best solution here, and for that, I've got this Hegabis MagSafe enclosure with a little 2230 drive in it. I also picked up this small rig case and cage that gives me multiple points to connect a tripod to, but more importantly, I can snap on ND filters that are the same size as my mirrorless camera to control how much light comes in and hits the camera sensor, so I can pick the correct shutter speed and get nice looking footage. Almost all phones have fixed apertures, so you kinda need something like this if you really want to dial things in, but even with a regular photo and video modes, the camera is pretty decent. In regular modes, I do notice sometimes the white balance is a little weird, but shooting raw photos or with a pro video modes, you get great results. Although, honestly, shooting from the rear lenses likely won't be meaningfully better than the 16 Pro or even the 15 Pro for that matter. Both of those models have Apolog as well, but you do get a slightly different perspective with a new 48 megapixel telephoto lens that does pretty well at both 4 and 8x optical zoom. For what I want to do with short-form content, it's more than enough for me personally, and the biggest change that I would say I notice is when I switch to the front camera. That is the new 18 megapixel square sensor where you can switch aspect ratios at the click of a button, and regardless of which you're in, the quality is outstanding. I find a lot of selfie cameras are too grainy or soft to use outside of video calls, but I don't get that at all on here. I also love using the scan feature on the phone to scan sketches or designs that I've made and airdrop them to my Mac, where I can pull them into Fusion and use them as reference images. I don't know if it's because of the LiDAR scanner in here or what, but I find there to be very little distortion in the scans, and I can generally trust that what it captures is going to be reasonably accurate to the physical copy, and AirDrop itself has been absolutely flawless for me up to this point, which hasn't been the case on any previous iPhone. The 17 Pro also runs a lot cooler than past years when you're filming or doing anything resource intensive, which, again, is due to the new redesign and the vapor chamber in here. This runs cooler than any other phone that I've tested over the last year, and I'm able to squeeze an extra hour or two from the battery during resource-heavy use, and about the same amount for general everyday usage. It takes me from maybe 5.5 hours of screen on time in the 16 Pro to about 7 here, and it might not seem like much, but it can make a world of difference if I'm doing a ton of filming, or say if I forget to put my phone on the charger overnight with regular use. I can still do my morning routine before I have to put it on the charger, where there was no chance of doing that on the 16 Pro. The charging itself is also much faster wired, so if I do happen to run into any low battery issues, it only takes 20 minutes or so with a 40-watt charger to get up over 50%. and then I can just continue on with my day. But just getting deeper into a creative mobile workflow, if all I was doing was shooting short-form content, I could basically do everything on here, from planning, filming, editing, and delivery, all from the 17 Pro, which is pretty crazy. In fact, there's a pretty good chance that we'll see a MacBook this year with this exact chipset in it, which tells you just how powerful it is. But with great power comes great responsibility, and for all the great things this phone does for my everyday life and how much potential it has, it can just as easily become a huge distraction. For instance, like I said earlier, this thing is an absolute beast for mobile gaming, and you can even play some AAA console titles on here that are very smooth. But I find immersive games like this that are just a click away can kill any kind of productivity or just make you not as present with what's going on around you. I know, even when I film myself gaming for reviews, I'll often get caught up in the game I'm playing and kind of forget about what I need to get done, and the same goes for social media. The 17 Pro is an amazing device for consuming content. It has a great display, fantastic sound, and it is perfect for when you're on the go or traveling. And don't get me wrong, I think social media used in the right context can have benefits. You can learn or educate yourself about things, get inspiration or ideas, and stay connected with people, but it's also just as easy to spend an hour scrolling through videos with no substance, wasting your day away. This was a real problem for me last year, and it is one of the main reasons why I won't even touch my phone first thing in the morning until I hit play on an audiobook. But it's still something that I struggle with a bit. If you're not careful, looking for inspiration can also easily turn into comparison, which I don't think is healthy at all. That Waking Up app has helped me a lot in that sense, where when my mind starts to wander, I'm able to pull myself back, but it really doesn't address the underlying problem with these platforms. They're all trying to grab and retain your attention regardless of what you set out to do on them. On top of that, if you have notifications turned on for any of these things, the phone is going to be pretty relentless in trying to break your focus if you don't set up any guardrails for it. And even though Apple Intelligence isn't fully realized, it's pretty clear the iPhone 17 Pro and mobile devices in general are leaning deeper into AI-driven suggestions, and those can end up creating curiosity loops where you keep checking or updating suggestions and can end up trying to do too much for you. I did make a video earlier in the fall about how I try and alleviate or combat that stuff and have my phone work better for me, but that's honestly a constantly evolving process that I don't know if there is an answer for yet. It's kind of like the phrase, whoever invented the ship also invented the shipwreck. The more powerful things get and the more things that they can do, the more they can both make our lives better and worse at the same time. And the best that we can do is focus on what we want to get out of these devices and find a way to do it without all these other distractions that come with it. When it comes to the 17 Pro specifically, for me there have been decidedly more positives than negatives. I read and listen to audiobooks on here, capture new ideas and form them into something tangible, manage my health, and stay in touch with people that matter, but I think a lot of that is because I'm aware of what I want to get out of my phone and how I want it to work for me, and not the other way around. That being said, I want to know where you guys stand on this. In an ideal scenario, what do you see as the most useful things that you use your phone for, or maybe what you think you would want to use it for more to enhance your day-to-day life? Let me know in the comments down below, because it's always interesting to hear what people are using their phones for, and this can be one of those cases where idea sharing can help other folks out as well, but that's all I've got for you today. If you want to see more tech content or turn the volume slider down on your phone very slowly with me just to feel in control of something, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next upload.